This is not just another framework. This is the CIPS Global Standard 2025. It is not a rulebook. It is a blueprint, a competency framework, a capability benchmark, a maturity architecture, a professional development model. It defines the competencies required, expected behaviors, knowledge depth, skill progression, and professional bands. And it maps how those competencies evolve from tactical execution to strategic influence, from operating within boundaries to defining them. And that shift changes everything. The global standard is structured around 4 professional bands: delivering, managing, leading, influencing. Delivering is where operational and tactical execution takes place. You apply defined processes. You ensure compliance. You control cost and performance. Managing moves beyond execution. You coordinate teams. You oversee supplier performance. You translate strategy into measurable outcomes. Leading shifts the focus again. You shape direction. You build organizational capability. You influence cross-functional decisions. And influencing is the pinnacle. Here, procurement does not simply support strategy. It informs it. It shapes enterprise-level direction. Progression across these bands is not about job title. It is about competency maturity. Beyond the professional bands, the global standard is built on a clear competency architecture. It is structured around 2 domains: enablers and practices. Enablers are the capabilities that power performance. They shape how procurement professionals think, influence, and adapt. In strategic progression, they evolve in this order: critical thinking, communication, developing relationships, innovation, ESG implementation, technology, learning and development. These are not tasks. They are integrated capabilities operating at both individual and functional levels. The global standard primarily operates at the competency and capability level, strengthening professional maturity and functional performance. Practices represent the applied architecture of procurement. They follow a strategic life cycle: stakeholders, spend and value, sourcing, risk and resilience, contract management, managing performance, operations management, evaluation and improvement. This progression reflects how procurement moves from alignment and value definition to execution, control, and continuous improvement. Together, enablers define how capability is built. Practices define where capability is applied. Mastery requires both. As procurement matures across the professional bands, its role evolves. Resilience is no longer optional. Dual sourcing becomes a strategic default, not just a contingency measure. Supplier networks must be designed for continuity and flexibility. Innovation requires looking beyond Tier 1 suppliers. True advantage often exists within Tier 2 and Tier 3 ecosystems, where specialized capability and emerging technology reside. Risk management also changes. It is no longer reactive. It becomes predictive. Geopolitical intelligence, market volatility modeling, scenario planning. Procurement moves from responding to disruption to anticipating it. At higher levels of maturity, procurement is not merely managing supply. It is designing resilience into the organization itself. The highest level of procurement maturity is no longer defined by procurement alone. At the influencing level, capability becomes interdisciplinary. A strategic procurement leader operates at the intersection of finance, data science, and strategy. Finance brings commercial discipline. It sharpens cost intelligence, investment logic, and value measurement. Data science brings analytical depth. It enables predictive insight, risk modeling, and evidence-based decision-making. Strategy brings direction. It aligns procurement with enterprise positioning and long-term advantage. At the center of these domains sits the strategic procurement leader. Not a transactional manager, not a functional specialist, but an integrator. One who translates financial signals, interprets data patterns, and shapes strategic outcomes. This is the capability profile that defines true influence. Master the bands, own the themes, lead the future. The CIPS Global Standard is not just a framework. It is the benchmark for professional excellence. But a benchmark only creates value when you measure yourself against it. Start with honest gap analysis. Where are you today? As an individual? As a team? As an organization? Benchmark your current capability. Identify the gaps. Close them deliberately. Because progression through the bands is not automatic. It is cumulative. It is intentional. It is earned. The standard gives you the map. Discipline builds the capability, and benchmarking sustains improvement. So the question remains, what will you master this year? Because the future of procurement belongs to those who measure, improve, and lead. Unilever operates in one of the most complex supply environments in the world. Thousands of suppliers, multiple continents, volatile commodity markets, escalating sustainability expectations. Yet procurement is not positioned as a support function. It operates at the influencing band. Here, procurement does not merely execute sourcing strategies. It shapes enterprise direction. It informs sustainability commitments. It guides risk architecture. It drives innovation partnerships. If we apply the CIPS Global Standard lens, we see structured maturity, delivering capability, managing complexity, leading integration, influencing strategy. This is procurement as a strategic control system. Not transactional, not reactive, but embedded at the core of corporate governance and long-term value creation. The journey begins at delivering. Here, procurement ensures process discipline. Contracts are executed, KPIs are tracked, compliance is maintained. This is operational excellence. At managing, complexity increases. Category strategies are designed. Supplier performance is measured systematically. Risk controls are embedded. Cross-functional coordination begins to deepen. Procurement now manages systems, not just transactions. At leading, integration becomes strategic. Procurement aligns sourcing with growth objectives. It supports innovation pipelines. It strengthens resilience architecture. It influences long-term value positioning. And at influencing, the shift is decisive. The Chief Procurement Officer shapes corporate sustainability commitments. Procurement informs capital allocation priorities. It guides enterprise risk posture. At this level, procurement does not support strategy. It informs it. This progression, delivering to managing to leading to influencing, is not about hierarchy. It is about expanding impact. From execution to enterprise-level strategic influence. Procurement maturity is not built on practices alone. It begins with enablers. Communication aligns stakeholders. Critical thinking sharpens commercial judgment. Technology enhances visibility and speed. Innovation drives competitive differentiation. ESG integration embeds long-term responsibility. Learning and development sustain growth. Relationship development strengthens ecosystem resilience. These enablers build capability. But capability must translate into disciplined execution. That is where practices operate. Sourcing structures supply markets. Spend and value analysis drives optimization. Contract management protects and enables value. Managing performance sustains standards. Operations management ensures continuity. Risk and resilience secure stability. Evaluation and improvement institutionalize learning. Stakeholder engagement aligns enterprise priorities. And beneath both enablers and practices lies ethics. Ethics is not a separate layer. It is the foundation. It governs decisions. It shapes behavior. It preserves trust. When enablers build capability and practices deliver execution, within an ethical foundation, procurement operates as an integrated system. That is structured maturity. That is sustainable performance. Mastery does not happen by position. It happens by measurement. The CIPS Global Standard is a benchmark. And a benchmark demands reflection. Where are you today? As an individual professional? As a procurement team? As an organization? Which band truly reflects your impact? Where are the capability gaps? In analytics? In ESG integration? In risk modeling? In strategic influence? Benchmark honestly. Identify gaps deliberately, close them systematically. Because progression from delivering to managing to leading to influencing is not automatic. It is intentional. The standard provides the architecture. Gap analysis provides direction. Benchmarking sustains improvement. And disciplined capability development creates strategic influence. So the question is no longer theoretical. What will you master this year? Because the future of procurement belongs to those who measure, adapt, and lead.